brilliantly, but his skills with the ball in hand are going to be absolutely vital. A relatively late change as well in the Stirling ranks, with Callum Norrie starting at tight head and Murphy Walker, who was originally going to start in the 3 jersey, moving to the bench. There is the man making some of the headlines for his appearance in the Super 6. Dale, you and I watched Simon Bergen feature last weekend. Also an internationalist with over 30 international caps. There is the man in the middle, our match referee, Rory Campbell, this evening watching on. And it is Duncan Weir. We'll get this match underway. Still a bit of a breeze around Meggetland, but conditions much, much better than they were when the remnants of Hurricane Ian blew through Edinburgh a little bit earlier today. Strong winds and torrential rain. But the pitch, Dale, you have to say, is in excellent condition after taking a battering less than 7-8 hours ago.
Yeah, and it's going to be tested with both these big packs, and Duncan Weir is about to get us underway, but it's a remarkable work from the ground staff to get this game going, and we're underway.
Weir then launching it just at the edge of the 22, and Craig Keddy alongside Liam McConnell and Scott McGinley in that back row, looking to get themselves involved early. So too will Rory Swan, and it is going to be Swan lining up a box kick. It's an early indicator of the strength of the wind. Both scrum halves, Christie and Swan, were practicing box kicks quite extensively during their warm-ups. There is Creddy, distinct appearance of the beard and the scrum cap on, real warrior figure, enjoying life as a Super 6 player in this FOSROC competition. Ball in bounces a couple of times just in front of Weir. Walter Fafita is one of the Stirling County players without a number on his back, but he'll play on that left-hand side. And that's a fine clearance, Dale, down towards the halfway line. And an early tester, but good work there from Craig Robertson.
Yeah, I think well cleared up by Robertson. You can see what the Wolves were trying to do. They were letting Duncan Weir sit back inside the 22. Bergen tried to split them to make it a little bit more challenging for Duncan Weir to gather the ball, and the kick pressure there from Boroughmuir Bears was really impressive. They were straight on it. They know the danger that he's got with his boot. That was well cleared up by Craig Robertson. Round out their 22 with that exit.
Stirling still desperate for that elusive first win as we watch on here. Lafferty with the throw in. Keddy's able to pick up the rather low pass delivered by Swan. Swan on halfway. Boroughmuir making some ground with their scrum half just in behind the ball carriers. May find some joy on the left-hand side as Bergen continues it out to the left channel. Tackle comes in from James Pope. Still a look to reorganise as Boroughmuir again use Keddy, crashing into Stirling contact, and Duncan Weir back to his feet. Good work from Callum Norrie as well with the turnover. Back it comes to Robertson. Robertson spinning kick there. An illustration that it's not going to be the easiest of ground to play on. Still slippy and slidey underfoot. A chance now once more for Weir. Thought about the high up and under. One of the Boroughmuir players down, receiving a bit of treatment. Just now looks as if it is Keddy.
Tackle!
Christie. And you can see the Boroughmuir back row forward getting strapped up. Angus Fraser bundled almost off the ball, did well to retain possession, went to ground. Fine footwork there from Robertson up towards halfway. And on 3 minutes, Stirling knocking the ball forward as we get a close-up there of the Boroughmuir skipper, who's back to his feet, much to the delight, I'm sure, of the Boroughmuir faithful. Yeah,
he got met by man and ball when he was getting that really flat ball from his fly half. But I think this is almost the good and the bad of Stirling Wolves this season. Some great work there from Robertson to break free, but that end product, that last pass, just knocked on. And I think, well, Wolves, when they've got the ball in hand, they look like they can stretch this defence, and defensively they were pretty strong to the early onslaught from Boroughmuir Bears. So again, it's going to be an interesting way to see this battle goes. But again, the turnover from Duncan Weir on the floor, we were, kind of maybe criticising him slightly for his, being caught in possession in his 22. But he gets the ball back, he strikes that counter attack and puts the pressure straight onto Boroughmuir Bears. So it shows you how he can mix it up and the experience that he brings to this team.
He's going to feature prominently in a side that need a spark, they need some inspiration, and he'll help talk a lot of players through this 80 minutes as well. Players that perhaps, as you say, Dale, have been involved in games where they've opened up opportunities, created opportunities for themselves, but the final pass, the end product hasn't been there.
Yeah, and I think you can see there when he got the ball, it was shaping up to kick. He got it off of Robertson. He was looking to try and kick downfield, and then he's got the skills and the awareness to unlock defences and put the pass in. So he was trying to mix it up, trying to put the pressure on Boroughmuir Bears, but it just shows you the experience that he brings, and a lot of players will be looking to him. But I think Boroughmuir Bears as well will be looking for him in defence, because I can see he's standing out more in the outside centre position in defence. So it's going to be a testing afternoon for Dougie Vipond. As much as he's going to bring a lot of experience, he's going to be tested by these young Bears players.
And there the sight of Marcus Gordon coming on. A real disappointing start to the evening for Mickey Jones. Back in the starting lineup, he was on the bench last weekend. He's been out for a lengthy spell with injury, and his evening has been curtailed after just 3.5 minutes. Scrummage then, and a put in for Boroughmuir, Rory Swan.
What a lineup on this side with Kerr Johnson against Fifita as well. That's going to be an interesting battle.
Fifita will certainly want to show his class international as well. We talked about Duncan Weir's qualities, 80 points for Scotland, and the couple of tries he scored, the drop goals. Fifita brings a whole different element to the contest as well. Boroughmuir players staying upright in the contact situation. You can see that Callum Norrie is desperately trying the strip, and coming together of one or two players. Getting a little heated there. The back row forward, Liam McConnell, the youngster, 18 years old, put himself about quite a bit in the early stages.
You got the turnover, and number 3 has been stupid. Rugby plays 10 cuts off, it's going to be a Boroughmuir penalty.
Great.
Number 3, reaction.
Great discipline there from Rudy Campbell to give that decision. It was a really poor carry from Liam McConnell. He was caught far too high. He was engulfed by the Wolves' defensive line. But you'll see it here if it plays right through. He's went really, really high. He's been held up. He's been suffocated. Benedict Grant getting in there, to give a little bit more bulk to that. And it's the end of this. When you see the referee blow his whistle, there's a few hands and a few rubs on the hat, pulling the scrum cap. And number 3 there, Callum Norrie's the guy that's been penalised for the Wolves. And, you've just suffocated that ball. It's such a positive defensive display and a needless act of, machoism, if anything, give the penalty to Boroughmuir and gives them the first chance.
Boroughmuir then looking to get first points on the board this evening. We mentioned that Jack Bergen had 2 penalties and 2 conversions last weekend in that narrow victory over Heriots. He's been a steady influence in this Boroughmuir side as they've made their way up to 3rd place in the table. Looking to secure 3rd tonight with a victory, and they're off and running with a penalty goal. 5 minutes gone, and the Boroughmuir fly half, adding to his tally for the season with 3 points. And Boroughmuir Bears lead Stirling Wolves by 3 points to 0.
Yeah, the conditions at Goldenacre last week weren't as probably challenging as they are now, because the wind is going straight across from this stand side to the open field over on the far side from a commentary position. So that's a challenging first kick for Bergen, but he certainly hit his target and he's put the Bears' noses in front.
Lofted high, restart gathered just on that left-hand side. Fine piece of running there from Joe Jenkins, up just beyond that 22. There's a flag behind it, the fence on that 22. Maybe it gives an illustration of how strong some of the gusts are. Swan's kick downfield, and that is an unfortunate knock on there on the right-hand side. It's perhaps a mixture of taking eyes off the ball under the floodlights. You can see plenty of height on it. Spinning. Craig Robertson mindful of how close he was to the touchline as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, he was keeping good eyes on it. I think he's probably just been, in his peripheral vision, he's just seen the touchline, but he's been caught with a hole in his shopping basket there because it's just fallen straight through his hands. He's not been able to secure that. And again, just a little mistake, and that's kind of what compounds when you've conceded points. You don't want to give away needless possession, and the Wolves have then just gifted a little bit of possession back. But that's exactly what you need to do to test these back 3 players in swirling, windy conditions. And Robertson, that'll play on his mind, a fullback in windy conditions. That'll play on his mind until he gets the next one.
He's had a couple of good touch finders, but that was a testing high up and under. And the scrummage for the side in front. leading by 3 points to 0. A victory tonight, Dale, securing third place in the table, would mark a significant improvement for Boroughmuir Bears over the last 6 months, when you consider as well the mixed fortunes for these sides. Stirling Wolves were more than a handy outfit during the sprint series, but they've not been able to recapture that form.
Yeah, it's been, you know, they've been plagued by injuries throughout, and really not been able to get that, you know, the combinations that they would have liked in the key positions. So it's been difficult for them, you know, to try and maintain that continuity. But this is going to be a real barometer going forward of where Boroughmuir Bears are, to consolidate that third place and then look up towards Ayrshire Bulls, who come down here to play. So it's going to be an interesting end to this campaign to see who can steal all the places.
Again, taking the ball more upright into contact, but that was a clean, secure run. Boroughmuir over the ball just now. Marcus Goodwin just securing possession. Boroughmuir then looking for an opening try in this match, as Craig Keddy just calling the shots, organising those in the front row that sitting just behind him, Goodwin and McFeet Smith. It's recycled. They can bring the midfield in. This is a fine piece of running up towards the edge of the 22. Swan then reverses play. Still down the heart of the pitch. Swan has it once more. Look past there from Bergen. 3 across on that left-hand side. Swan in again. Taken on there by Jack Fisher. He certainly can put himself about the lock forward. Reversed on that left-hand side once more, trying to eat some ground. Weir up with the challenge. Solid run there from Blythe Lafferty. Swan in behind. Again, Bergen looking for the pass. Working it across on this right-hand side. A loop ball out towards Kerr Johnson. Johnson then cuts inside. Tries the offload there. Ball goes to Brown as Tom Brown was coming in behind. And Kerr Johnson was mindful of what was in front of him. The first perhaps coming together of him and Fafita there, Dale.
Yeah, I think he did everything right. He's 17-year-old, I've been calling him 18-year-old, but you can see here the ball floated across. He's not got a lot of room to work with, bounces back in field, and I think it's, you know, just that experienced arm coming in from holding, just stripping the ball. And I think, you know, that's the naivety of a youngster in this environment, in this testing environment. You know, you've got to secure that ball, you've got to be that little bit stronger and make sure you protect it when you're going into contact. Because he did everything right. He took it into contact, he spun out. He's just been stripped in, you know, in possession while he's been trying to launch an attack. But, you know, certainly I'd be going the other way from Fafita as opposed to trying to go through him or, you know, or towards the touchline. But he's bounced off well, and he's, you know, it's just unfortunate he's been stripped in possession.
Just a brief glimpse there of Ben Cairns, the Stirling Wolves coach. A picture of concentration as he watches on from just along from our commentary position.
Fine. Here's your mark.
The referee reorganising the scrimmage here.
Okay. Staying left of the mark, so we've got clear gap.
Healthy crowd inside Megatland for this Friday night fixture. A few more taking seats rather than opting for positions standing just along to one end. He's down towards the 22 in the car park end. And the ball fed in there by Gregor Christie. Picked up by Grant. Grant then tries to power beyond that 22. Christie's in behind him. On towards Weir. Straight and true downfield. 3 Boroughmuir players between that 10 and 22. Gathered and returned with a bit of interest. Weir's able to take it into the midriff there and angles a kick down the channel this time. Still 3 remain inside Boroughmuir territory. Jenkins does well with the offload. But the flag up across on that far side. And again, just running out of room, perhaps as the pass was measured down the tram lines there. And Jenkins just looking across rather ruefully that didn't quite come off.
You can see there, Duncan Weir just kicking it straight downfield, centre field, telling the opposition you've either got to try and find a tighter angle. We want a little bit of territorial gain. And they're just going for a flat back 3 and going for it. And, you know, it's a good platform for Stirling Wolves to attack from through Benedict Grant.
And Jack Hill did well to win the ball in the line out. It's found its way to Grant, picked up then by Christie. Offload Weir now, on towards the right winger Jarvie, that's come off his wing to support those in the midfield. Christie goes in once more, recycles on that 10. Christie again has it once more. A little cute line run there by Ryan Southern, and you could see he was frustrated because he picked his moment to try and cut his way through the Boroughmuir defence outside centre. And Christie again was just lining up the pass, and it came across to him. He just could not take that in. Had he done so, there was some space to run into.
Yeah, and I think Stirling Wolves so far are doing the right things to test the Boroughmuir defence. Like territorial, they're playing in the right areas, but you could see there Duncan Weir looking to try and feign for that big pass, and then also just hitting it tight. And you can see there the outside centre looking to come tight and just check that defence, keep it a little bit narrower, which in the end will hopefully benefit the likes of Fafita and Jarvie on the wing, because the defence will narrow and narrow and the spaces will be out wide. So the Wolves are testing and probing just without getting that end product.
FOSROC Super 6 Rugby live Friday night action. Free kick awarded to Boroughmuir at the scrum. Boroughmuir's points coming courtesy of their fly half Jack Bergen with a penalty goal. Early stages of the first half. Dark, calmer skies overhead. It's again a challenging ball there. Bounces just in front of McConnell. Picked up though, and Boroughmuir once more looking to try and find some space down the right hand side, bringing Johnston to play again. And the referee penalising Stirling, as you can see Johnston's a little bit happier with that effort, but he knows he's been in a really solid collision deal.
Yeah, I love that, seeing the smirk on his face. I think he knows he's been clattered here. Great alertness. He's in the right position at the right time, and he's just taken a big left shoulder from Fafita there. You know, he is a mammoth of a man, and that's a 17-year-old winger who's shown all the good skills of a winger. Predatory, he knows the bounce of the ball, he's in the right area at the right time. You know, and he's tested himself. He's shown he's got no fear as well, but you know, I wouldn't fancy running into that big guy.
No, Fafita is certainly going to put himself about for the Stirling Wolves cause tonight, as we watch on now. Blythe Lafferty with the throw-in, close to that 5-metre line. Securely won in the air. Lafferty then looks to join in the drive. He'll look to try and secure possession of the ball at this stage. Swan just walking patiently behind the forwards. Now becomes a bit more animated as they're driving sideways, but are creeping that little bit closer. Now it comes out through the hands of Swan. Little gap opens up here. Boroughmuir just practically on that try line. They look to want to spread it out towards the left-hand side, which they do, and they're going to be over for a score. A fine try down that left-hand side, well executed by Joe Jenkins. The forwards doing well initially after the line-out found Boroughmuir hands. Was joined by Blythe Lafferty. There was no immediate way he could get the ball back to him to then try and have a run at the line himself. Swan then changed the angle. There was a pass that bypassed a couple of the Boroughmuir midfield, opening the opportunity for Jenkins, and that was a fine score.
Yeah, I think it all probably started there with Robson going back inside, and he's just checked that defence. The defence hasn't recycled itself enough to really fill the space and spread out, and that's allowed that space over on the far side. You can see here 13 trying hard, 12 trying hard to get out. The winger there as well, Jarvie, looking to try and fill that space. They just can't get across quick enough because of that run back in field by Robson. Really good angle, gets back inside, checks the defence, keeps them narrow, allows the space out wide for Jenkins to swan in for a score.
Yeah, showing the qualities of the inside centre, Scott Robertson, and those of the forwards. Remember that change made. Mickey Jones was replaced after 3 minutes by Marcus Goodwin. Conversion attempt from out wide. That's an absolute beauty as well. And a player playing with plenty of confidence in Jack Bergen will be delighted with that one as well, because these extra 2 points just at this stage cementing Boroughmuir's lead, and in some ways just showing that they're that bit more clinical when a position like this opens up for them.
Yeah, an assist in there as well. That big floating pass from Bergen gives them that try-scoring pass, and that is a brilliant pinpoint kick from the touchline as well, from a fly half who wasn't kicking well last weekend, and he's obviously found his kicking boots on home turf in more challenging conditions. So, you know, that's Boroughmuir certainly have their tails up.
McConnell doing well from the restart. Swan with the box kick. A bit more distance on it this time. Again, right down the touchline. And it goes into touch there. There was no juggling and guddling of the ball from Robertson, but the ball had gone out, so it will be a Stirling throw-in. Plum on halfway. Angus Fraser already in position to throw the ball into this line out. Stirling can't afford to be disheartened by the start that has been made by both sides in the match as we approach the end of the opening quarter. Again, that's won well by Jack Hill in the line. Quickly through the hands. Weir has it once more, deflects up from Ryan Sutherland there. Couldn't take that ball in neatly. And it's Brown just continuing the forward run here. His opposite number, Robertson, does well. Turnover ball, immediately released by Hiddleston. Christie goes in once again, has a look at the options. Played this time by an inside centre, Holden. Skipper of the side, gathered by the fly half. And Bergen pings that one downfield. 2 back for the Wolves. Back it comes again to Holden. They've a few kicking options there, Stirling, in terms of the inside centre. Duncan Weir and Craig Robertson. Are they taking the right options each time?
I think the first time that we've seen it, they were kicking long, and then they were able to set that flat 3 and just pretty much goading Boroughmuir to kick back. Holden's kick there was more of an attacking kick, trying to find the space to make it a foot race for his winger. And on that occasion, they've actually turned the back 3, which means that Stirling Wolves are then having to just clear. It's not an attacking kick, it's a defensive kick, and they've not made good ground. They've lost a bit of territory, and they've given the ball back to the Bears.
Lafferty's throw in. Keddy, 36 years young, as we mentioned. Skipper of the side that won the cup final in 2015. Again, the play breaks down and knock on. And Stirling were just trying to secure possession through the scrum half. Gregor Christie down that right-hand side. We'll see it again. Here's the intervention from Christie. And he comes flying through.
It's the exact right option for Boroughmuir, though. You can see there that Adam Wood is loitering in that position, and Boroughmuir have noticed that there's, they've got a mismatch over on that blind side. Try to go for it, and obviously Gregor Christie was there looking to try and just pick out that ball out there, but obviously Rory Campbell noticing that he's made a valid attempt to try and get the ball. So it's just going to be I think it's put into the scrum for Boroughmuir from the knock-on.
Opportunity for the players to have a water break at the almost 19-minute mark. It's been a quick 19 minutes, Dale. There's been quite a few talking points. One thing we should say, I suppose, from a Boroughmuir point of view is when they've created some opportunities, they have certainly looked dangerous. They'll be quite satisfied with a 10-0 return in their favour after 19 on the clock.
I'd fully agree. I think that both teams have not had real clear-cut chances apart from the scoring opportunities that were there for Boroughmuir Bears. But there's almost positives there for the Stirling Wolves. I did say before the game that I thought it'd be a lot tighter, but it's the same things that are creeping into the Wolves games. They're creating, good opportunities, but it's that last pass or, a knock-on or just not protecting the ball enough or a wrong choice in kicking. It's those little, final products of their game which are really kind of hindering them, and that they're starting to creep into this game as well. Building off the confidence of their performance last week, they're falling into old habits yet again.
Just looking there at Duncan Weir, I'm sure the situation at Worcester will be very much in his thoughts. Of course, he had a spell at Worcester, revived his international career to some degree with a good spell down at Worcester a few years ago, back plying his trade in Scotland. And as a Super 6 player this evening for Stirling, a side trailing by 10 points to 0. Into the scrum, Rory Swan. Just at the back, digging in there is his skipper Keddy. Again, trying to bring the midfield in. That's good, powerful running again from Robertson. Not as close as he was to the try line earlier on when he split the Stirling defence. Swan in once more. Again, having a look through the hands of the midfield. Swan on to Bergen. delicate with the right boot, side of the right boot, trundles into touch inside that 22.
Yeah, there's going to be a throw into the line out to Boroughmuir Bears. You could hear Rory Campbell saying that it was touched by White. So, good tactical kick again from Bergen. Noticing nothing's on, they're getting a little bit flat and just want territory. Pin the Wolves back into their own 22. Let them make mistakes. Let them decide how they're going to try and exit from here and try and pounce on anything that's going to go wrong. So, again, good game management from Jack Bergen so far. I've been very impressed with his opening 20 minutes.
Jerry Blythe Lafferty will throw in just on this 22. Some movement in the line. Again, a direct, accurate throw. Gathered in the line. Fisher and Callum Atkinson are very accomplished in that second row for Boroughmuir, and it was a good win by Atkinson on this occasion. Swan still inside the 22. Block challenge comes in there from Benedict Grant. Swan will recycle again, and once more the forwards just take it in turns to try and open up an opportunity here to finish off. Well, that's good cover defence there shown by Gregor Hiddleston, leading from the front. Back it comes. Fisher was in position there, ready to carry. The pick and go now into the 22, gaining some ground for Boroughmuir. Out towards the left-hand side, ball allowed to bounce, a little loose. Again, Jenkins, dangerous, out on that left-hand side, goes to ground, the try scorer. Swan immediately in behind, looking to keep the momentum of this forward move going there. The ball just deceiving Liam McConnell as he was coming through there, the giant figure in that royal blue scrum cap. A giant figure, but not as tall as Callum Atkinson. The lock forward as the two walk side by side.
Yeah, I think just getting a little bit flat there, McConnell there when he was trying to gather that ball. And I've been a young 18-year-old. We say that 17-year-old Kerr Johnson on the wing as well. Obviously, a lot of young players on this field. We've obviously got Duncan Munn in the outside centre for Boroughmuir Bears. A youthful team. But Liam McConnell just guilty of getting a little bit flat there, perhaps playing on his mind as his carry earlier on when he got swarmed by the Wolves players, looking to try and steal an edge and steal a yard, just getting a bit too flat and overrunning his colleague.
And I suppose if he watches more of the pro game, he would see ball carriers in a similar position to him as a blindside flanker with the height he has, just lowering their height as they take the ball into contact rather than remaining upright and direct. Free kick awarded to Stirling.
Yeah, I think that's that's the beauty of being in this environment. We talk about that guy there, Duncan Weir, and the experience he's going to bring. That's the sort of thing that has been blended. We see Gregor Brown last week for Boroughmuir Bears burrowing low and getting a try from that body position, just getting himself nice and low, carrying strong and getting underneath the tacklers, and that's the sort of experience they bring. But Duncan Weir's obviously been welcome to Super 6 rugby with a clatter.
Yes, Weir in the wars. Blood-stained jersey, fly half. He's talking some of his teammates through aspects of the game, but not in an intrusive way. There's Boroughmuir now, the throw in there. That was a squint throw as it was gathered by Callum Atkinson. We got the use of the halfway line there just to see it making its way across towards the left. You see the arrow not quite on this time for the youngster in the front row, number 2.
Yeah, another young 18-year-old, Blythe Lafferty, just trying to again steal a couple of inches on the throw and just not coming off the hands right for him. And it's just a little error. But then that's the sort of luck that the Wolves need. They need these little errors from the opposition to get field position, to try and build momentum in this game. And that's the Wolves will certainly welcome that as the running repairs are made to try and keep that big left lug of Duncan Weir's on.
Yes, is all due care and attention, protected there. And Weir will, certainly it's going to take more than that to dislodge Weir from his place at fly half. Just in this first half, certainly.
There's your mark.
Dan Cairns remains focused, allows himself a smile just now. His side trailing by 10 points to 0, but they've offered more than a few glimpses of what they can do if that final pass is a little bit more accurate. In a couple of occasions where Ryan Southern hasn't been able to take the ball into the chest and accelerate away. But the pass has been a little bit awkward, making its way towards the outside centre. He's had 1 or 2 opportunities. Christie now close towards halfway. Weir now with that distinct bandage round the ears. Fifita, first opportunity with ball in hand, barging those in front of him out the way. The youngsters of Robertson and Jarvie will certainly be encouraged having Fifita in the park. Christie has the ball once more, on towards Robertson, the fullback. Fifita in behind, on that left wing. Christie has it again, back into the body of the Kirk, and Grant over the 10. Christie, Weir, through the hands it goes and through the midfield, and Stirling are beyond the 10. They want to keep the momentum going here, but Boroughmuir have been able to almost steal it. It's been picked up by Hiddleston. Open side flanker did well to secure possession. Robertson has it. Robertson weaving his way in. Still he's going. Robertson playing a lot on his tiptoes, doing well. Christie, now the huge figure of Adam Wood. Still just short of the 22. Weir, pace on the pass gathered there by Holden. Out towards that right-hand side. Taken on this time by Ryan Southern. Was able to take the ball in nicely. Christie has it once again. Recycle ball. Weir, 1-2 with the hooker there, and Fraser back towards his fly half. Penalty awarded. Stirling's attractive play crossing has been spotted by the referee, and through the hands you can see a sort of wry smile on the fly half's face there, Duncan Weir, because that was a much better passage of play up towards the 22.
Yeah, and I think you can probably see here the structure of Stirling Wolves and introducing a new player, and you get that, you get that disjointed rugby player. But Fifita is a player that when I seen him go down the wing there, I'm thinking, the likes of him and Benedict Grant are two of their biggest ball carriers, and I would love to see them with that flat pass off of Duncan Weir, more in midfield, working hard off his wing. And obviously, Benedict Grant pops about all over the place, but that's the channel that they're going to get a lot of joy, because they're going to bring that defence in. And, if the wingers are working hard, they're going to get the space on the wing. But, just bowling over that first man in a tight space, it allows time for the players to come across and try and cover that field. So, it's a great first run from Fifita, but I think it's more effective in midfield and in these, when the space is a little bit more open.
Adam Wood has been replaced by George Breeze in that front row for Stirling Wolves. We did see Adam Wood carrying with some purpose just a few moments ago. That's a better execution from the lineup. McConnell winning it from the throw from Lafferty. Boroughmuir running into some trouble there, and Benedict Grant been putting himself about in defensive duties. Grubber kick through from Bergen down that right-hand side, followed all the way by Craig Robertson. Goes into touch inside that 22. 27.5 minutes on the clock, 10 points to 0. Boroughmuir have the lead, courtesy of that Joe Jenkins converted try and the early Bergen penalty.
Yeah, and it's just amazing to see how quiet Bergen is, over the last 5 minutes, and the Wolves have been trying to build head of steam, working really, really hard for every yard that they're getting on the field, and then Bergen just has a little look up, sees that there's space in behind, puts a really challenging grubber in and gets some good field position, and that's a really good kick, and they get the ball back on their side, and now all of a sudden they're attacking.
Tom Brown was across, got back into his full-back position. Had a quick word with the right winger, Kerr Johnson, as well as, once again, well executed throw in. McGinley has it. McGinley stays upright. Now he's on the deck, on his back, plants the ball back there. The pick and go. Boroughmuir inside that Stirling 22. Penalty awarded to Stirling. Very well defended from the Wolves, and you can see how much that means to the Stirling players. All credit to Angus Fraser and those forwards.
As soon as that maul, didn't come to fruition, and you seen Blythe Lafferty break off the side, he was like a stray puppy because he was so isolated. He was just completely on his own. You can see they're working hard. Scott McGinley trying to get to ground to make it a ruck. Wolves are contesting as well, but they get the ball back, and Blythe Lafferty just goes it alone. His players are far too far away from him, and that's great work on the phone from Angus Wood and Hiddleston, who are suffocating that ball, getting the penalty back, and they can kick downfield and make some good territory here.
Yeah, back down into Boroughmuir territory. 29 minutes on the clock. The aforementioned Angus Fraser now looking to throw the ball into the Stirling line. One in the air by James Poe. On there from Marcus Holden, and over halfway. Tackle made by the Boroughmuir skipper, Craig Kerry, who's back to his feet. Christie goes in once again. Boroughmuir then securing ball. Reaching in was McConnell. And from a standing start, the kick downfield finding Stirling hands. Fifita now. Little goose step, away he goes. Giant figure on towards Hiddleston in that green scrum cap. Tackled there by the replacement front row forward, Goodwin. Recycled though, Stirling still have it with Weir. Out on that right-hand side, taken on well by Marcus Holden.
Tackle!
And Keddy in with the challenge. Referee raising the arm again. Tackle player not released. Boroughmuir's Craig Keddy. Now making eye contact with the referee.
Well, you can hand out touch if you're not released.
You can see here that Wolves try to stretch the defence. Great pass by Weir and Holden, getting the ball through the hands. And you'll watch Southern here. He's made the got the tackle there. He gets a knee on the ground, and the referee has called the tackle. So although Boroughmuir have dragged him into touch, he's already got that knee on the ground. That's where the ruck is starting to be formed. So there's not been released there by Craig Keddy, and the referee clear on his communication, which is great as well, saying that he'd already called the tackle. The penalty goes to Wolves, and now they've got a very rare venture into the Boroughmuir Bears 22, and what is an important time of the game. Half an hour gone, they've not got any points, but I think they've been able to weather the storm. I think they've settled into the game quite well.
Yeah, certainly the open play from Stirling in the last few minutes has offered a bit more as we have another water break for the players. I think not all of them are opting to join the huddle. I can see that Fifita and Craig Robertson are together along with Ryan Southern. They will now come across. But, a chance for them to focus and just concentrate on the job in hand at the moment, and it's going to restart with this attacking platform. As you say, Dale, a good platform for them to really test the resolve of the Stirling defence. And that man there, Ben Cairns, will be hoping that an opportunity like this won't be passed up.
Yeah, I think this little break probably comes at quite a good time for the Wolves more than the Bears, because I think when the season's been as disjointed and difficult for them in terms of personnel, a lot of errors have crept into their game. It gives them a time to just relax, just go through exactly what they want to do, get the experience, and then you can see Holden just having that little communication with his pack and just ask them to, nail your target, do the basics right, let's put a bit of pressure on the opposition. And I think this game could burst into life if the Wolves can get a bit of pressure here and get a score.
Also saw Graham Shield on camera just a moment ago. He'll be focusing in on his side's defensive efforts here as the ball once more is won by Hamish Ferguson this time. From that Fraser throw, Christie comes across now, on towards Southern. Southern, fine run from the outside centre, but caught short of the 5. Christie once more. Marcus Holden, his skipper, on his feet there, taken on by Benedict Grant. Swallowed up in the challenge, ripped there by Keddy. Penalty awarded to Stirling, and Rudy Campbell's going to come across. Have another word with Craig Keddy.
It's never good to be on first name terms with the referee, I don't think.
Marcus, you have the penalty for offside over there, or for a breakdown over here. Okay.
So Marcus Holden a decision to make.
Yeah, back 10. Yeah, when you're ready. Cheers.
Craig Keddy certainly putting himself about, and once more with the rip and the strip there as the ball sails over the fence just outside the ground, but Stirling making further ground inside that 22.
It'll be interesting to see how Boroughmuir defend this. That first attacking line out, it was accurate. They looked like they had a momentum, and it was actually the Wolves who brought that maul down. So this is going to be a really, really important part of this game if the Wolves can be on the money here.
George Breeze with the call. It was Ferguson who won the last throw-in. This time it's the lock forward James Poe. So both Ferguson and Poe winning balls in the last 2 lineouts for Stirling. Christie slapping the backs of those just in front of them. One of them is Angus Fraser. Possession of the ball now with Christie. Christie then has a little look. Solid runs coming in here from Stirling County. Christie once more, handled brilliantly there, practically on the line. Are they over for the score? The referee having a long look. The pad's beginning to rock on those posts there. And Dale, that's mighty close from a Stirling point of view.
As soon as that ball went across the face of Callum Noddy there, and he's stretching for it with every sinew, trying to grab that ball, you just knew if he had a bit of momentum, he was going to get held up. And that is almost the story of the Wolves' season. So many good things in there in terms of the way that they accurately hit the line out. They went to the tail, it was difficult. Great first run, but they're trying to, that's inaccurate there from Christie to hit the runner. It's too challenging a ball to do anything. It's really a defensive you know, he's having to protect that ball more than anything. He's just not got enough field to do it. And, you know, I think that is more the execution from the 9, you know, from Christie, as it is from Norrie, who was having to stretch and grab that.
Yeah, you don't have the same balance when you're taking the ball in. You know, again, he was sort of on his tiptoes, leaning forward rather than taking the ball in slightly more flat-footed, could run onto it, accelerate on with a bit of pace. Had he done so, it may well have been looking at 10-5 with a kick to come. Yeah,
and you've got a couple of options there. You can either go quick and try and ask for the defence to get round the corner and fill the space, because if you come, you know, the first run from the centre fixes the defence. You need your runners to come round. You also need the opposition to come round in defence and fill that space. But if you're passing that ball, trying to do it quick, and the defence is there, and it's an uphill battle there, because you're not giving them a good attacking ball to go from. The defence was there; they could swallow it up. That was probably the time to go. I've not got runners, I've got to slow it down, and it's the decision making from the 9 there that probably needs to dictate that, and to say, I'm going to slow this down, I'm going to wait for us to set, and we'll go again. You know, they've got all the cards, they dictate what's going to happen, and I think the Wolves perhaps on that occasion have just picked the wrong option.
And with this stoppage, is that something you could foresee Duncan Weir having that sort of exchange with Christie and a few of the players, or is now not the time necessarily?
I think they'll be having conversations. Christie and Weir, just off camera you can't see it, but they're just in midfield. They're having a conversation. Fifita as well, they're trying to dictate where things are going to go from this kick, but they'll have had that conversation. You know, they'll be already going through saying what went right, what went wrong. You know, it happens as rugby players. You've got the leaders on the park, which, you know, they dissect the game in a little bits, and that's exactly what would have been happening there from the experienced players.
So Jack Bergen then from his own goal line plays down, gathered there by Benedict Grant after Norrie was held up over the line. Running into Jack Fisher. Fisher remains upright. Grant now is able to find Christie on very quickly through the hands of Breeze and Duncan Weir. Fifita out then towards Robertson. Some pace now. Here's an opportunity for Jack Hill. Hill is caught and just in touch there. The forwards and backs linking up very well indeed, as there was some space down that left-hand side. Fifita continuing the momentum, and that was a more shapely Stirling Wolves move.
And as the ever-expanding armchair rugby fan as I am, you know, you see there Fifita when he plays in midfield, the defence, you've seen how much room there was on this side, because he's drawn the defence and they think he's going to run. He's got the ball in hand now, they're checking, the wingers they're checking him, and that creates the 2-on-1. It probably was well executed, just well defended. You've got to applaud Boroughmuir there, because they've got across, covered the field well. It's maybe not as dynamic from the Wolves to really, you know, cause any danger, and it's well defended by the Bears, and they managed to usher the players off the field.
Lafferty finding Liam McConnell, straight throw this time. It was important, there was no mistakes given the proximity to the try line. That's over the head of Fifita, but no panic, read that well, and is able to find Robertson. Robertson over halfway, has Fifita in support, over the 10. Christie opting to go back through the hands now of Weir. Out the midfield, look past there from Holden, the skipper. Tackle! Towards that right-hand side there again. Southern wrapped in the challenge. And Stirling Wolves recycling once more. Gregor Christie goes in. There's nowhere immediately for him to go there. There was legs and feet all round about him, so much so that Stirling caught in possession, not releasing, and the penalty given against them, and for Boroughmuir right on halfway.
Yeah, I wonder whether Christie maybe annoyed Rory Campbell there. I heard him tell him to shut up because the ball was available. Liam McConnell was trying really hard. He was quite long in terms of his body position. The ball was there, and I think Christie looking to play for the penalty. You know, you can see them take it in here. You can see McConnell wriggling out the road. He's, you know, the ball is there. Rory Campbell then telling the Wolves 9 that, you know, it was available there, and it was good work on the floor, but they've missed touch from the penalty, and the Wolves can now kick clear.
Yeah, Robertson, trusted left peg, down closer towards that halfway line between the 10 and halfway.
He's grown back into the game after his, you know, an error under that high ball. I feel he's been quite pivotal in most of the attacks that the Wolves have had. If they can get him in space, he's quite deceptive with his power, Craig Robertson. So, you know, he's been instrumental in terms of the open field running that the Wolves have had. So I think the more they can get him into the game, the more it's going to create space for the likes of Fifita and Jarvie on the wings.
Stirling certainly improved last weekend, still without the win, but there's a more settled feel about many of these Stirling players in the side, and they're only going to benefit from the experience that they've been able to bring in for this game at Megatland this evening. Kerry into challenge again, bundled backwards, the Boroughmuir skipper. Recycled there by Swan. Swan goes in once more. 4-5 Boroughmuir players at close proximity out on that left-hand side. Swan in again, just trying to protect possession of the ball. Penalty awarded this time to Stirling. And cheering every successful penalty win as if it is at points on the board. We are immediately calling for it. They'll feel that there's still time between now and the interval to at least get a proper foothold in the game with points on the board.
Yeah, obviously time's not, there's not a lot of time left in this first half, and I think the more the Wolves can play up in the Boroughmuir half, the more comfortable they'll be, the more confidence they'll grow. But it was good work on the floor there from Callum Norrie. I've been impressed with him so far, to be fair. He's quite a tall front row forward, but he manages to get down a low centre of gravity contest on the floor, and he won that penalty there, just managing to get his big mitts into that ruck and starve the ball from the opposition and win the penalty. And, it gives the Wolves something to aim for at the end of this half.
Longer throw this time, won by Poe. He's won a couple so far in the first half. So too is Hamish Ferguson, the two Stirling Wolves lock forwards. And as a consequence of that win, they've got a maul going here. A direct piece of play from the forwards. And you can see they're marching Boroughmuir back closer towards the 22. Christie encouraging more power to join in as George Breeze is the latest one to go in. Perhaps just overcommitting in the end. And Boroughmuir will have the chance to just ease what pressure is on them at the moment with a clear downfield.
Yeah, I think Boroughmuir were quite comfortable in that maul, knowing that they had the ball wrapped up. So they knew that they could concede a few yards. They were going to get the ball back. It was just a matter of time before that maul ceased to be a maul, and the ball was starved there. Because Boroughmuir, defensively, I think they've been pretty good. It's no luck that the Stirling Wolves haven't scored any points yet, because defensively they've been quite solid, got across the park. But there's also the thing that the Wolves haven't really tested them too much, and in the close quarter areas there was that error there early on from Norrie and Christie actually. So it's defensively, I think the Boroughmuir they look relatively comfortable.
Yeah. Graham Shield using this stoppage, the Boroughmuir coach, to scribble down a few notes that he will, I'm sure, relay to his squad of players at half-time, just over 90 seconds away.
Time on.
So we'll resume with a scrummage, and as I say, a chance for Boroughmuir to play the ball downfield. Rory Swan wearing the moustache in the picture, just waiting patiently on the respective forwards to construct this scrummage. Rory Campbell, the referee, and alongside Swan is his opposite number, Gregor Christie. No opportunity for Swan to feed the ball into the scrum. The reset. One or two stoppages for injuries, but it's been quite a smooth first 38 and a bit minutes. Still, it has to be said, not one of the stop-start contests we've seen in the past.
No, there's been a lot of talking points. There's been a lot of good moments in this first half. It's relatively low scoring, 10-0, but there's been a lot of action. I think the referees managed it well. There's not been a lot of long periods without play for us to try and look at the different parts of the game. So in terms of the game as an action, it's been pretty good.
Final few seconds then of the first half at Megatland. Penalty goes the way of Boroughmuir, and they'll play this into Stirling territory. It's the last moments of the opening 40 minutes.
Time's up now. Time's up.
Jack Bergen then
10 times up.
will look to feed the ball out. In fact, he's hearing from the referee that time is up. We've reached half time. Ball played downfield, so this will be the last opportunity of the first half.
I think Boroughmuir will just be looking to get this into the line out and secure it, and then kick it off the field and get down the tunnel and look to see how they're going to plan to attack this second half. It's certainly poised a really interesting game in the second 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's still very much up for grabs. Thrown into the line, stretching all the way was Callum Atkinson. giant figure. Out towards the right-hand side here, Tom Brown with the long blue sleeves on.
Leave it wide.
Scrum half Swan forced out the way there. Penalty awarded as Stirling penalised on the ground there.
That's so disappointing because that counter looked really secure. It looked good, but then when he's trying to go for it, they just, you know, it's all the instincts of a rugby player. He sees it bubbling about there, looks to go for it, and this is an interesting call. I thought they would be hitting that line out, looking to go out. I think Boroughmuir have got this 5 points in their sights. They know that they need tries. They need to put the pressure on Ayrshire Bulls, and it's almost a great kick there, but the Wolves managed to keep it in.
Yep, Wolves doing very well indeed as they play the ball into touch there. Gregor Christie on our screen, the player involved in the last action of the first half. A first half that has brought about 10 points. And it's Boroughmuir Bears who lead by 10 points to 0. They got early points on the board courtesy of a penalty goal from Jack Bergen, but it was a converted try that really opened up the gap, and that coming inside the opening 20 minutes. Finished off by Joe Jenkins. Some great work from the forwards, a powerful piece of running as well from Scott Robinson, and then a looped pass from Bergen, bypassing much of the Boroughmuir midfield, working its way out towards the left-hand side to bring Joe Jenkins into play, and he was able to run in and run over for the score. That gives us then a half-time scoreline with a lead for Boroughmuir Bears. The home side are in front by 10 points to 0.
Welcome back to Meggetland after 40 minutes of rugby here in the FOSROC Super 6 Round 8. It's Boroughmuir Bears who have the advantage by 10 points to 0 at half-time. Dale, you've been in the commentary box there, and interesting that Boroughmuir are ahead, but Stirling have been in this game, haven't they?
Yeah, I think Stirling Wolves have played pretty well. I think I was expecting an improved performance after last week. Obviously, the performance against Watsonians, it's just the same errors that are coming into the game. These little, the last product, the last bit of their game just not sticking, which is meaning they can't get much momentum in the game. We've not seen a sustained period of time when they've really been in the game, and really been able to build a head of steam.
Now, we talked before the game about Duncan Weir, didn't we, and how much he's going to influence the game. But Jack Bergen as well, it's a big role to play in this game. An early penalty and then the conversion off the try as well.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Bergen. I think when Boroughmuir have looked on the ropes, he's kicked them in the right positions. And for a guy that never kicked that well against Heriots last week, that is a brilliant penalty to start, for a fly half to get a bit of confidence. It's from far out, it's really windy here at Meggetland. And also he was instrumental in this try. It was a well-formed maul. Boroughmuir got ahead of steam. They've got all the forwards there. You can see Dougie Weir creeping in. And then when Boroughmuir managed to straighten the line through Robeson, he just manages to keep that defence nice and tight again. It does end up in the hands of Bergen, who floats that ball over to Jenkins, who probably has the easiest job out of all those 15 players just to waltz in for a score.
It was a really nice, really well taken try, wasn't it? A lot of pressure from Boroughmuir Bears, and at that point County looked like they were floundering a wee bit, but it was so well taken. Defensively, you're not going to stop that, are you?
Yeah, I think in terms of the way that whole move went, it was the forwards really getting in tight. It was a well drilled maul. It was dangerous. It means the defence, the forwards are looking to try and get tighter, which gets the space out wide, which Bergen found. He made his task that much harder with the touchline conversion, but I said before, a guy who never kicked that well last week, he can slot them over for anywhere tonight.
And you can see the flags going there as he kicked that as well. I know he's a right footer, and the left-hand touchline's an easier one to kick, but it was fine, wasn't it? It gives them the advantage. They're looking pretty good, but Stirling, I mean, you said before this game how frustrating they've been this season, because there are good parts to their game, but this is a great example of when you've no confidence, things just don't go for you.
Yeah, good field position. They managed to get a few penalties, and you can see here just bringing the big ball carriers off of them all. Try and keep that defence nice and tight again, but it's that bit
that was.
Yeah, but it's that bit there that kills the momentum. That ball from Christie to Norrie means that he's really up against it, trying to go into that defence. If he gets that in a good position, he can carry positively. But his centre of gravity is already low, and that's two backs that are getting in there. That's a young 17-year-old. And also Joe Jenkins in there that are getting under a big ball carrier to hold him up, and it's all because of that ball from Christie. It's disappointing because he's a really good 9, but he's just not been able to find his target. And I was saying in commentary that was probably a time for Christie to slow it down.
Yeah.
They had really good field position.
They did.
Slow it down and look to try and go again, get the cavalry round, and then strike again. But just maybe getting a bit too keen.
That's it. When you haven't got a win all season, you're going to try things. You're going to panic a wee bit, and Stirling have done that. There's no doubt about it. But you can imagine in the second half, they can come out. There's no reason they can't get back into this game, because they've got the players there, they've got the ability, and with Dougie Weir pulling the strings, they can pull it out the bag potentially.
I think it was quite telling at the end of that half, because Boroughmuir, with a penalty with time up, were looking to try and get tries. So this is a team that are looking to try and play some rugby, and sometimes that can be really dangerous for a team. If they want to try and throw the ball about too much, they can, sometimes have a few too many errors, and it can then feed into the other team's hands. And I think squad depth in terms of Wolves, on the bench, I don't think they've got many changes that will disrupt the team too much. So it's going to be really interesting to see, if they bring people on at half time, but certainly how the second half's going to go, because 10-0, the Wolves certainly aren't out.
They certainly aren't, and I hope you can hear us, because there is some commentary going on. It's the Boroughmuir Primary 6 minis are having a wee tournament in the corner there. Nothing like it. Minis rugby is the best thing ever. Minis, middies, and Boroughmuir are a great side for that, aren't they? They've got a great tradition of players that have come through all the way. There's the P6s having a whale of a time live on Free Sports.
Yeah, it's great to see, and I think that's it just adds to the atmosphere of the Super 6. There's a really good crowd here tonight. I think that Boroughmuir as a club, they've got good connections to their school. They've got a good they've had a good amateur team, maybe struggling now with the birth of Super 6, but the Boroughmuir Super 6 team certainly looking to turn a corner, and they've put in a better campaign this time, looking towards those top 2 places, and it all starts down there with the P6s in the middies section. So yeah, it's great to see them out there at half time.
It's good to see. So it's a bit breezy. It's definitely a bit breezy tonight. You said Stirling could come back into this game, but also Bears have the ability to kind of put the old knee in the throat and strangle the Wolves.
Yeah, I think it depends how they're going to control this game. We did talk about Bergen there. You know, he's been able to put Boroughmuir in the right places, which is something we said about Duncan Weir was going to do before the game. You know, when Boroughmuir look a bit flat, he's kicking them into areas that are saying to Wolves, right, you've got to defend out of here. So in the second half, it's going to be interesting. They're obviously swapping sides. It's going to be a different wind for Boroughmuir. It'll be interesting to see how they deal with that. But I think, you know, at 10-0, anything can happen. And depending on how, you know, if Duncan Weir comes back out for the second half, I think if Wolves can get Fafita and Grant in good attacking areas to test likes of Munn outside centre, you know, that could be the catalyst to really unlock this Boroughmuir Bears defence.
Fafita, beg your pardon.
No.
Fafita. He's not got a number on his back. He's not got a number on his back because his jersey doesn't fit. So they can't get. But he's a huge guy. He's a big laddie, and I mean, I don't know. Does he carry enough for you? Does he get enough yardage when you consider the size of the guy? I wouldn't say that to his face, obviously.
Yeah, I'm just, I don't think he does. You know, like I'm a rugby fan. I like watching rugby, and I like trying to, you know, dissect to see what goes on. And I think Fafita, for me, what I've seen so far, he just carries in the wrong areas. Yeah. I think sometimes he's in that 5 metre channel. He bowls over the first runner, and then it allows the defence to come across and swarm in. And I find that one of the best bits of play that the Wolves had there was he was slotting in at 13, the defence narrows because they go, this guy's going to carry, and you know the ball goes through the hands, and that's when the space starts coming. And I think that is something, and you see here, young Kerr Johnson, 17-year-old, a lot of promise, a lot of, you know, hunger there as well. Just runs straight into the left shoulder of Fafita. You've got it in my head now. Fafita, and you know that shows you.
Are you hungry?
No, I'm a little bit. But it shows that, you know, the mix that you've got in Super 6. You've got a really young guy there. You've got a big, experienced winger, and they're mixing it up. And you know, there's no quarter given. I do feel Fafita does carry in the wrong areas. But, you know, it's the same as Benedict Grant. I think they don't utilise him enough, and I don't think they play to his strengths. And if they can do that in the second half, they can certainly unlock this defence.
Yes, we are both hungry for a big second half. There you are, the Boroughmuir P6s having a whale of a time here on Free Sports. 10-0 at half-time, 40 minutes of tasty rugby coming up after the break.
Welcome back to the start of the second half at Megatland between Boroughmuir Bears and Stirling Wolves. Boroughmuir leading by 10 points to 0 at the interval, and they get this second half underway. And immediately James Poe up, trying to secure possession for a Stirling side that have been 2 changes at half-time. Callum Norrie has been replaced by Murphy Walker in the front row. Finlay Burgess has also been brought on to the field of play, replacing Gregor Christie at scrum half. Boroughmuir then protecting that 10-0 lead. The try coming towards the 20-minute mark. Joe Jenkins with the try, converted by Bergen, who had earlier slotted over a penalty goal. Swan into the hard-working McConnell in that back row, 18 years old. Keddy, 36. Scott McGinley also in there at open side. Floated cross-field. Boroughmuir able to pick up there. Scott Robinson. Back it goes to a deeper line position. And we'll try and work it through Tom Brown, bringing McConnell into play once again. Blindside flanker up towards halfway. Swan with the pass out there towards that Boroughmuir right-hand side. Squats down, goes in for the pass again. Kick delivered there by Bergen. Down the Stirling left-hand side, that was tracked all the way by Craig Robertson, the Stirling fullback. There's confirmation on your screen of those changes we mentioned in the front row and at scrum half. And having been down close towards pitch side, he's back alongside me. It's Dale Clancy. Dale, you want to be in first name terms with Walter, the Stirling Wolves left winger?
Yeah, I think so now. I blame Dougie, but I think from the start of that second half there, Boroughmuir will be happy. They've had the ball for long periods. They've been able to just move it about the park, and they've made a good gain there. It was a good kick downfield, and Robertson didn't have a lot of room to work with. Tried to pin it back to put a bit of pressure back on Boroughmuir, but it's just been too narrow, and it's given Bears a chance here, and they managed to get another attacking platform, look to control the game. This is going to be a really interesting 40 minutes here.
He's tapped back by Atkinson in the line, the lock forward. Craig Keddy goes in, secured by Swan. Carry made by Boroughmuir as Swan hurdles the man in the deck and gets Boroughmuir going once again on this left-hand side. The cutting run, but a solid challenge coming in there from Southern. Did well there, the outside centre defensively. Still in Boroughmuir hands at the moment, close to that slotted 10-metre line on the screen. Picked up this time by Duncan Munn. Into contact, and in behind him is the scrum half on towards McConnell, receiving the pass from Swan. Swan has it again. On out to Bergen. Bergen deeper, back towards halfway. Forced back there, Robinson was able to offload Bergen, but Stirling have played a high defensive line. And they are out for the second half is Duncan Weir. Coming back for a penalty called by the referee, close towards that Stirling 10-metre line. Offside decision given against Stirling, and a chance for Boroughmuir to ping this one downfield. Just a few stats, incidentally, regarding Walter Fifita in terms of his bulk and what he can bring as a sort of physical player. 18.5 stone, 6'4" 4.5 inches.
I think I'm the same way, just not the right height. I think I'd look like him if I was a few inches taller, but yeah,
if you were on stilts.
Yeah, exactly. But he just does bring something different. But I don't feel like they're getting the best out of him just now in this game. He's not had a lot of time on ball. A bit like Benedict Grant, I don't think they've been able to unlock him enough in this game, and things like this here. The good defensive pressure, Boroughmuir looking to throw the ball about, and this is an interesting call to see them go for the penalty, because they were chasing tries towards the end of the first half, and they're opting for the sticks now.
Perhaps the start of the second is going to mirror the start of the first with a penalty goal. Well, certainly a penalty goal attempt from Bergen. He slotted over the one at early stages of the first half, and that is again a cracking kick from the Boroughmuir fly half. Been a solid figure all season for Boroughmuir. As Dale, you quite rightly mentioned, wasn't at his best last weekend, but still had the 2 penalties and 2 conversions in his game.
Yeah, and I think that's the great thing to see. There's been a lot of talk before the game about Duncan Muir coming to Super 6 and playing for the Wolves, and it's his opposite number who's grabbing the headlines at the moment, controlling the game, putting his team in the right areas, and he's getting the points as well. So it's so far been a good evening for Bergen.
Here with the restart gathered and cleared back down towards halfway.
On the line, please.
Rory Swan in the picture just now has had a very productive 44, 45 minutes of the contest. Very quick there and down towards Finlay Burgess. Burgess was able to offload to Grant. Grant takes the ball into contact. Burgess, the replacement scrum half, in behind. Boroughmuir looking for the steal, securing ball. Stirling maybe a little bit slow there to latch on to Boroughmuir tactics with the turnover ball out towards the right-hand side. Weir, though, wrapped up in a tackle from his opposite number, and Stirling have it back once again. So no damage done there from Stirling, trailing by 13 points to 0 now. Burgess, though, Finlay Burgess, the youngster at scrum half, with Benedict Grant in behind. Burgess on towards Weir. This will be a good experience for him, with Duncan Weir outside and taken on this time by Robertson. Robertson left-footed, tricky kick to Reid defensively. Boroughmuir are able to get back into the 22 and scoop up possession of the ball. But again, Stirling trying to use a little bit of creativity there. Another offside decision has been picked up by our match referee, Rory Campbell.
Yeah, just offside there, and it looks like that player just coming on the screen. I think that is the replacement scrum half. Finlay Burgess was offside, just in front of the kicker when, you know, Holden put boot to ball to try and turn the Boroughmuir defence. It just, unfortunately, just coming to the blind side of the referee, but the AR's doing well to pick that up. And, you know, that is when, you know, the likes of Fafita works well then, because he was inside the shoulder of Duncan Weir, so the defence has to stick because he's a dangerous, dangerous player. Didn't have anything to do with the ball in hand, but he just managed to create that space out wide to allow that attack to come to fruition.
Jeremy Blythe from Lafferty with the throw. Boroughmuir close towards the halfway line with this attacking platform. Plenty of movement in the line. Jack Hill was going up to try and win possession for Stirling, but it is a secure win for Boroughmuir on that 10. Forward they go. And Connellan again, happy to guddle for the ball.
Out two!
Goes backwards, Boroughmuir just on the halfway line, reaching in now is Swan, looking at his options, just over the shoulder and tracking back there, Jarvie. Cleared from the edge of the 22 downfield. Looks as if there's going to be further changes made. Ewan Cunningham is stripped already to come on the field of play. It's another change for Stirling County. I think that's a straight replacement for Craig Robertson.
Yeah, that's an interesting change. I think Cunningham, you know, coming on at fullback, he's a good kicker. I think this is where you'll see a little bit of that, you know, experience rubbing shoulders, rubbing off on from Duncan Weir, and they've got, again, another good kicker there. So, you know, Wolves have to try and use these players to kick them into good positions, get good field position, and then try and build from that, because, you know, they've not had a lot of ball, they've not had a lot of success with finding those areas of the park, because Boroughmuir defence, certainly that back three, Tom Brown I've been really impressed with, but the back three have worked hard off the ball to limit the amount of space available for the Wolves to kick into.
Craig Robertson just taking his seat just in front of us in the main stand here. Looks, cuts a slightly frustrated figure. You can understand he would have wanted a bit more time on the park. The Stirling Wolves full-back. Again, Bergen receiving the pass from Swan. That, a little bit untidy from a Boroughmuir point of view there, as Brown was outstretched arm, and Joe Jenkins it was that was trying to gather the ball in, coming off his wing. Tackle! To secure possession for Boroughmuir. 8 minutes of the second half gone. A Bergen penalty goal extending Boroughmuir's advantage in the game to 13 points to 0. Swan over the ball at the moment, reaching in with the studs of the boot, looking to line up a box kick. Now he delivers. That will carry just over halfway. Underneath it, an early gather for Ewan Cunningham under the high ball. This is Duncan Weir. Again, an angled kick, allowed to bounce a couple of times at once, and taking on now, accelerating. Good running there from Tom Brown. Solid challenge on the Boroughmuir fullback. No, Stirling Wolves players get back out the way and into position. Jack Hill back on his feet. Blindside flanker, one of the players with no number on his back, with the jersey. And he runs into trouble once more in the form of Jack Hill and Duncan Weir on defensive duties this time. The Scotland fly half, and the penalty going to Stirling on this occasion. Plenty of Stirling support in front of us, many of the backroom staff and replacements watching on just a few rows in front of us and applauding the efforts of the team there. It will be a scrummage and a put in for Finlay Burgess.
Yeah. So it's just knocked on the ground by Blue, so it'll be a white scrum.
Yeah, I thought I was just waiting to hear what Rudy Campbell was saying, because the counter ruck came in from Stirling Wolves was really aggressive. It was really accurate, and I think Swan was guddling about at the back of that ruck, trying to get it in, like his hands kind of free from between the limbs. And you'll see here, that's great work from Jack Hill, putting in a bit of pressure, and you can see Swan having to try and dig about to get that bubbling ball into his hands. And the referee just calling a bit of time, as the assistant referee obviously spotted that. And it's you know, positive play from Wolves to get back into this game and get some good territory.
I suppose that aspect of their game hasn't been questioned. It's been the fine margins that we often talk about.
Yeah, it's not their physicality. It's not the way that they impose themselves on opponents. You've got Grant in there. You've got Fafita. You've got Holden. You know, and that's the players that are, you know, have a higher number than number 8 on their back. You know, they've got a lot of good players, big ball carriers there, and likes of Hiddleston as well. Hiddleston as well. So they've got good ball carriers. It's just that they don't get the rub of the green sometimes, and when a team's not got a lot of confidence, you know, sometimes these things don't come off for them. These little offloads, these little passes, and that seems to be the downfall of the Stirling Wolves team.
You'll tell me something's wrong.
Just making the right decisions and being able to execute opportunities when the whitewash, the opposition line is coming into view. Stirling then lining up this scrummage. The replacement at half-time, Finlay Burgess, had a few opportunities in open play in the first 11 minutes of this second half. Looking to feed the ball in. Swan just alongside him. Burgess then round at the back. Advantage is coming the way of Stirling, and that was short-lived there as they were trying to control it through Benedict Grant at number 8. And from the 10-metre line, Duncan Weir just adjusting his footing there to get a little bit of space and angle this one down into the Boroughmuir 22.
Yeah, this will be a venture back into the 22, and we were obviously discussing it at half-time, the inaccuracies that came from Stirling Wolves. It's going to be interesting how Finlay Burgess guides this team now in this position. He is one of the players, like the number 9 is one of the players that's going to dictate when that ball's released, how that maul is going, where they're playing on the field. So it's, again, another important part of the game after Boroughmuir get the first score in the second half. You know, this is a chance for the Wolves to bite back and perhaps get a bit of a foothold in this game.
Angus Fraser readies himself for the throw. Towards the back of the line, Fraser accelerates into that maul. Ball tucked under his right arm. Scrum half Burgess then goes to direct operations from behind the clutch of forwards. Boroughmuir's Jack Fisher reorganises his position defensively. So too does Callum Atkinson as he comes away from that maul. The ball should become available. Burgess trying to position himself to bring the midfield into play, but it remains the forwards controlling possession of the ball here as they fall in a heap. Now it's with Burgess. Quickly through the hands, Duncan Weir changing direction. Weir still is going, clatters into Boroughmuir jerseys. Stirling remain upright. George Breeze so close to the line, and the referee's bringing play back for an earlier infringement. Looks as if Breeze was just held up, but good tactics there from Duncan Weir to accelerate in towards that corner, then the offload, and Breeze was so close to a Stirling try.
Yeah, I think they're just going to go again here. I wonder what the call is going to be. Scrum, I can hear Rudy Campbell call there. They've obviously got the upper hand in the scrum as well. They got that penalty previously, but I think they had to try something. It'd have been nice to see them try and get the ball through the hands and get Fafita in a little bit of space close into the line and try and see if he can use his power to barrel over. But, you know, Duncan Weir did see some clear space in there to try and get his teammates through the gap, but they knew they had a free ball to play with because of the lifting of the leg and the maul. So Stirling Wolves get another chance at it from a scrum, and again hope this is steady, hope it comes to fruition that they can try and launch an attack.
Burgess then patiently waits. Stirling scrum half positions himself and watching on there. Duncan Weir just sitting back right of the scrum. Just alongside him is Keir Johnson. Controlled by Benedict Grant. Advantage coming the way of Stirling. And it's been knocked on there in their determination to get it across the line. So This, Dale, you have to say, is a hugely significant spell in the game, you'd imagine, for Stirling territorially where they are in the park, but their need for points is growing ever greater as each minute passes.
I'll keep working on him, but for me, you're the ones who's lost that contest and you're just holding it, right?
So that's Rory Campbell just having a conversation with the front row. He knows they're on the back foot here. Obviously the introduction, like say Murphy Walker in the front row for Stirling Wolves has helped the cause. And it looked like a really positive scrum again. You can hear them just shouting, go on. You can see Finlay Burgess as well waving his forwards on. So, you know, this is going to be an interesting phase of the game in terms of what the referee does and how he manages this situation. But when they've got the free ball, they're not getting an opportunity to do much with it.
Points!
Just in the picture of that front row, you've got Breeze on the left, Walker on the right, Angus Fraser in the middle of this Stirling front row scrum. Again, Burgess waving on the advantage, then coming by way of Stirling. Have they managed to get Holden, the skipper, over the line? They're going to have a second bite at the cherry here. Cat right underneath those posts. Holden back to his feet. Long white sleeves, hands and hips at the moment. Inside centre. Stirling still peppering the line, jockeying for position, getting close towards the line, and they power over. And it's Angus Fraser who scores the try from close range. And that will delight the Stirling faithful. They were knocking at the door and had been for a good 3 or 4 minutes. And it was important in Stirling's eyes in terms of how they're looking at the contest that they were the next team to score points this evening, and they've done so 4 minutes shy of the hour, 13-5 with the kick to come.
Yeah, just when I said that when the Wolves when they got a free ball, they didn't have a chance to do much with it, and you can see here when they're working round, they're just trying to use trying to barge their way over the line, and it is the movement of Angus Fraser, the hooker. You can see him running round the corner, going into that space, and I don't think if he scores that try, he's got about 5 players outside him. He had to score that, or he'd have been having a bit of tinnitus from his teammates if he hadn't barged over. But good body position from Rory Campbell as they're checking if the ball was short. But it's the work from the hooker to get round the corner, recycle himself, getting at a good position. And it makes it that much more difficult to defend when you're coming round the corner, running away from the defence when they're trying to get round as well. Good attacking play from the hooker, the try scorer there, Angus Fraser.
And then he went very low, made it very difficult for Jack Fisher, who was one of the closest Boroughmuir players to make the tackle. Duncan Weir then looking to add points as a Super 6 player, which he does. So this Super 6 outing, Duncan Weir, in terms of his personal tally in the professional and now part-time professional game, he's got 2 points and a converted try. Food for thought for Graham Shule and his backroom staff there, as his side still in front, 13 points to 7. The home side get the match underway once more, and that's gathered by Benedict Grant. Grant then out of the 22, running into Murphy Walker. Looking to recycle ball here. This Stirling Wolves side, they'll be lifted by that score. That's Marcus Goodwin taking the ball into contact. Recycled by the scrum half here, launched forward by Finlay Burgess. Oh, underneath it, he just slipped right through the hands there, but not knocked forward by Craig Keddy. Keddy joins in the drive now, very quickly recycled by Swan. Back then to Bergen, and running underneath it with a bit of pace there, crossfield kick. Duncan Weir, and is lining up a possible 50-22 if the angles were just right. Not quite clean ball, and back it goes to Rory Swan, but much better there from a Stirling Wolves point of view.
Excellent. In my head, I'm just thinking there, when they receive the ball, how are they managing this section of the game? How are they going to get out of the 22? Because I always say, you don't want to compound misery if you score points, you don't want to concede them straight away. They manage that brilliantly. You can see Duncan Weir's experience there, pointing where he wants to carry us. He wants them to set up that pod. He wants them to go round the corner, put that box kick in, and that forced the error there from Craig Keddy, which meant that Bergen's kick was more of a defensive kick. And you can see the space there that was in behind. Swan scampering back, trying to cover that space. But that all came because of the change in tide there from that box kick. It was an error from Boroughmuir, and it meant that Stirling Wolves did everything right. Duncan Weir found the space, put a good kick in, and the kick chase was excellent. Stirling Wolves now on the attack.
Stirling then able to gather through James Poe in the line this time. Back to the try scorer in the picture just now, Angus Fraser. Again, the scrum half Finlay Burgess behind. Burgess has it now. Offload infield to the inside centre and Captain Holden. Burgess goes in once more. Little pop pass towards that right hand side. They're still central into the 22. Taken on well by Benedict Grant, determined figure. Burgess again on there towards Fafita, out towards the left hand side. They've got space to run into, and it's such a fruitful time here as Ryan Southern, he was asked a lot on 2 occasions in the first half to take zip passes into the body. On this occasion he had a little bit more time to receive the ball. One thing on his mind, and that was to finish off the move. Duncan Weir becoming a real central figure, orchestrating here for Stirling Wolves. You could see Burgess' determination, Grant powerful running, and then Dale, you take up the story as the scrum half and half back link up.
Yeah, you can see there the little check in defence from Kerr Johnson. You know, because he's got Fafita, he's got the hands on the ball. You can see him little check and just not push out as much as perhaps he would do if there was somebody else on the ball. It's not about Fafita that there though. It's the accuracy, the tempo of play, because they were going round the corner in pods of 3. They were setting it up, they were clearing it out accurately. They were keeping the tempo high, which meant that once they were behind, that little burst from Grant, which got in behind the defensive line, meant that Boroughmuir had to work a lot harder to get back in defence. And when it was at that stage, when you're running back and trying to get into shape laterally as well, it's difficult to get back in a defensive position. Really good play from the forwards there, which was brilliantly finished by the backs.
Duncan Weir then to give Stirling Wolves the lead at Meggetland. The first match of the weekend in the FOSROC Super 6 series. Latest round of fixtures. Could be a surprise on the cards as Stirling Wolves have found it difficult at home and on the road this season to pick up points. Looking for their first win. And this was a fine move through the midfield. Holden, the captain, timing his pass out to Ryan Southern, having received the ball from the giant Fafita. And the restart kick just beyond the 10, gathered by a Boroughmuir side in a hurry, not surprisingly, trailing by a point. Swan with the initial pass on there towards Atkinson. Back it comes to Bergen. Bergen's crossfield kick, trundling into touch. Just between that 10 and 22, a 1-point game, but it's the Wolves that are holding all the cards at the moment, Dale. Yeah,
as I said before the game, I thought it was going to be a lot tighter than what most people had perhaps predicted. You know, the Wolves had got a little bit better, but in the second half they've come out, they've played with accuracy, they've played at rugby in the right areas, and they've managed to snatch the lead. And I think in terms of the way that this game is, you know, is poised in terms of the championship, it is really important because Boroughmuir now just have to try and win the game. Before half-time, they're looking for bonus points. You know, now they're in a position where they could potentially lose this game, lose their chance at the top 2, and Stirling Wolves might get off the board with the points.
Hamish Ferguson does well in the line, wins the ball, remains upright in that maul. Back it comes again. Grant takes the ball on from Finlay Burgess. Burgess does it once more, on towards Duncan Weir. Weir downfield, gathered by Bergen. On with some haste now, Tom Brown. The kick and chase. Underneath it is Weir. Weir is able to turn, escape the attentions of Tom Brown, the fullback. Runs into Ian Carmichael. On in the front row for Boroughmuir, a recent change. Recycled again. Fraser, one of the Stirling try scorers. Knocked forward though, so Boroughmuir have it. Craig Keddy. Quickly through the hands, Bergen, loop pass was gathered up neatly there by Duncan Munnett to reach up into the air to grab possession of the ball. Just on the Boroughmuir, the Stirling 10 I should say, Boroughmuir hands on the ball at the moment. McFeet Smith taking the ball into contact, recycled again through the hands of Bergen. Flatter pass just along that halfway line. Swan comes across, will change direction of play. Back infield, Atkinson takes the ball down to deck, recycled. Support was coming in just behind him. Down this Stirling right-hand side, the Boroughmuir left. Atkinson has it again, runs into Hiddleston. Hiddleston with the tackle on the Boroughmuir lot forward. Bergen, delicate with the kick. The little chase is on as well. Stirling conceding the penalty just outside the 22. And it remains a 1-point game as we're coming into the final 15.5 minutes of the contest. And the complexion of the match has changed quite significantly in the last 15 minutes, Dale.
Yeah, it is a proper rugby match now. And I thought perhaps with this kick, Bergen, I thought his supporting runner perhaps just snuck offside. It'll be interesting to see it in real time. It's fine margins there, but it's great awareness from Bergen. Gets the bounce of the ball as well. When Big Robeson was charging onto the ball, he's certainly timed that really well if it's been adjudged as being onside. But yeah, as you say, it's a game which has turned the tide in terms of Stirling Wolves going in front. But it's Bergen again who's the architect of Boroughmuir's good play, getting them into good positions, and it's now his chance to try and take the opportunity.
He'll want to keep up his good record this evening from the tee. Penalty goal to give them a 3-0 lead. Then they converted Joe Jenkins' try and added a penalty at the start of the second half. So his kick 2 so far and the conversion, looking for a third penalty. Boroughmuir trailing by a point. Can they retake the lead? They can indeed, courtesy of the fly half, Jack Bergen. So that's 3 penalties now for Bergen, and the conversion of the Joe Jenkins try. Stirling once more going to the bench, bringing on Harris McLeod. There he is in the picture. Hamish Ferguson, well, his last involvement was winning the ball in the line and being involved in a driving maul. Duncan Weir is looking for his side to settle. Restart kick hoisted high. Boroughmuir are able to gather and immediately clear from the 22. Down close towards the 10. And Dale, we're at the stage now where those players on the bench coming on, fresh legs and minds, what contribution can they make? Because it becomes increasingly important when it's such a close game. It could be the difference.
Yeah, definitely. When you introduce new front row, can they keep the continuity or get the upper hand in the scrum? Do the back row bring something in terms of open play? Can the scrum half keep the tempo? Can the 10s, get the direction? It's it's really important in Super 6, the quality that comes off the bench. And it's Burgess, I think, has perhaps been one of the more positive influences as Stirling Wolves again try to get a foothold in this game and sneak themselves in front.
Yeah, Burgess in behind Holden, who took the ball into contact. This time it's Jack Hill that he's slowed up. Burgess again on towards the skipper Holden. Little 1-2 with Burgess on now towards Weir. Weir has got 3 players outside him there. I'll tell you something, the hooker can't half Jeff there. Fine bit of running from Angus Fraser there. One-handed pass back in field. Play though continues with Boroughmuir having won a turnover, snatched possession of the ball. Swan will just slow things down very deliberately, angling the box kick into touch to clear the 22. Fine turn of pace there from Angus Fraser, but again Duncan Weir had players perhaps lined up 3 options on that right hand side.
Just that little wrap there, just creating that space, and I wonder whether they're thinking if that gets in the hands of Jarvie, I wonder if he's harder to catch, obviously, to get that, really trudge up that touchline. But it was a good play, the good wrap in midfield really held the defence, created that space out wide, and it came from a line out which was perhaps 10 metres further back than this one, and again the Wolves hit their target.
Not so much jockeying for position as it was towards the front of the line, and Angus Fraser just occupying space near the 22. Burgess has it now, again on towards Holden. Holden remains upright, runs into the midfield there, particularly Duncan Munn of Boroughmuir. 2-point game. Stirling peppering that 22, looking to try and find a way back in front. Benedict Grant's really put himself about the number 8. Burgess too being effective off the bench. Little untidy there from Duncan Weir, but still has it, straightens up, back facing the direction of play he wants to be going forward, and is Burgess in behind, locked up once more, taken on here by Angus Fraser. Burgess in behind him once again, on there towards Cunningham, occupying the full-back berth now after replacing Craig Robertson earlier in this second half. Another decision going against Boroughmuir, knocking forward just between that 10 and 22 on their right-hand side. So anxious times for these Boroughmuir supporters. Securing third place this evening with a victory would be an achievement for Boroughmuir, but they've clearly eyes on the prize much greater than that, but they'll need to protect this 2 points, first and foremost.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is it is greater than securing third place. They've still got stuff to play for here. They've still got a top 2 position in the Super 6 to play for. They've got Ayrshire Bulls in their sights. Ayrshire Bulls have to come here, remember, and pick up a victory. So it's a really important part of this game, but this game in terms of how Boroughmuir Bears players, coaching staff and fans envisage this perhaps at half-time has completely changed. It's not a game by how much, it's now going to be a game as if can we get over the line, can we get this victory and keep the pressure on at the top of the table, because it is a game that is finely balanced, finely poised, and the things that Stirling Wolves have been doing wrong before have seemed to evaporated into thin air. You know, they're not knocking the ball in dangerous positions as much. It's down this end of the field. They're playing rugby in the right areas, and that comes down to a lot of the game management of that back three and holding as well in particular.
I remember a fixture up at Bridgehawk between these two sides. Stirling winning, I think, in the last minute of the game. Bright Saturday afternoon in Stirling against Boroughmuir. Speaking to Jordan Edmonds, who was a Boroughmuir player afterwards, just ruining the missed opportunities and the fact that they just lacked a cutting edge up front. And you could have said the same about Stirling Wolves for 52 minutes of this contest, but in the last 15-16 minutes they've shown that they have got some teeth, and they can certainly do some damage going forward. Picked up by Burgess. Holden again. On now Fafita, barging his way through, using that 6'4" frame, 18.5 stone of sheer power there. Recycled ball on towards Grant. Caught up in the tackle. Burgess again. Fraser. Weir. Holden still has it. Still beyond that 10-metre line, but looking to make further inroads in towards the 22. Again, forwards lowering from their height to make it harder to tackle. Weir on towards Grant now. This is Hill out towards the right-hand side. Trundler from Jarvie. Grant again into Boroughmuir hands though, and Boroughmuir are able to get players around the ball. And Swan looking to line up the box kick from the 22, eating into valuable seconds. 10 minutes of the game left to play. A 2-point match. Swirling in the air. Underneath it is Logan Jarvie. Jarvie, that's a sore one. Real solid, committed collision there. Advantage then with Stirling. Loop pass out from Duncan Weir on towards the outside centre. Southern, one of the try scorers. Back inside Stirling Wolves territory, and they'll come back for that high challenge inside Boroughmuir territory. Dale? Yeah,
it was a big clatter there. It obviously was riding high there as Rory Campbell's just articulating to the players, but it was very well fielded there by Jarvie. Manages to get it well, but I think it's Tom Brown just rides just a little bit too high, tries to check him with his body, and the wrapping arms just make a bit of contact with the head, not too malicious, but I think, you know, the Wolves, just after I said all those little errors have crept out of their game. Benedict Grant in a really dangerous area just tried a quite ambitious offload, and it went to a Boroughmuir hand. And you know, this is where Stirling Wolves need to put the pressure on now, because that is a brilliant kick from Duncan Weir. Takes it right downfield and gives them an attacking platform.
Yeah, it's up for grabs. The game very much in the melting pot. The outcome is difficult to determine exactly what's going to happen, but that's ideal for FOSROC Super 6 tournament organisers to have close run thing.
Winners swapped. Fafita's at the front of that line out.
Fafita now across on the right hand side there. Now he's going to join in the drive here, just in that right hand corner. Burgess walking forward now. Fafita still part of the drive. Going to ground now. Burgess taking it on himself, the little scrum half. There he is in the picture with the little offload. Offside advantage for Stirling Wolves. Wind beginning to pick up and swirl around. Good work there from Jack Hill. Blindside flanker. There is Fafita. And he's caught just short. He might have another bite at the cherry if they can reorganise and regroup. Played back again. Stirling, that's how close they are to the line at the moment. We are now on towards Cunningham. And it's going to be the captain, Marcus Holden, just occupying some space on that right-hand side, where you'd perhaps expected Fafita to have been a little earlier on. He pulled away and he's over for a score, and Stirling are back in front.
Yeah, it's exactly what we said. You know, it's going to be a tight game. Stirling Wolves have improved, and then that is where they've improved there. From the first half, that's chalk and cheese. They're accurate in terms of when they're trying to get the runners round the corner. They're getting the ball into the right areas, and I think Burgess is the spark there that's really brought this team into life. I think that replacement 9 has been a huge monumental shift in the dynamic and the tempo that the Wolves are playing in. As easy as you like out there, but you know, that's the glory at the end of what was really good work off the free ball. That's 2 occasions now Stirling Wolves have scored off of a free ball from a driving line out. They've got the penalty, they've taken advantage of it in the wide areas, and it's great work by the forwards on both occasions.
Yes, Boroughmuir Bears then will watch on as Duncan Weir has kicked very well, both from hand and from the tee. So tries in this second half from Angus Fraser, from Ryan Southern, and from the skipper Marcus Holden. Remember, a half-time scoreline of 10-0, that's 13-0 at the early stages of the second half. And Stirling Wolves now going into the final 6 minutes of the contest are protecting a 5-point lead. So if Boroughmuir have eyes on the win this evening, they will need a converted try between now and the conclusion of the game and not concede any further points. It's a second half where at times they've perhaps been out-muscled by a Stirling Wolves side that have finally this season found some form. And found some form that has also brought about an end product on 3 occasions with those 3 tries, 3 converted scores, 21 points in the second half. Underneath the high ball, taken well by Tom Brown, just on the 10. Launched forward. Underneath the high ball, taken well by Ewan Cunningham. Just on that 10-metre line. Again, you can see Burgess. Now he's taking his time, understandably, just controlling, trying to dictate. Burgess, Weir, thumping right foot kick downfield. Back deep inside the 22. Bergen is back. He's able to line up a kick to touch. And that is a touch finder, just short off the halfway line. Throw in then for Stirling Wolves. And across comes Angus Fraser. And I would imagine he'll be in the shortlist for player of the match this evening, Dale. He's put in a real shift.
Yeah, there's a few players out there. I think it's going to be interesting how this game finishes. I know sometimes a lot of the clamour is towards the team that is in the ascendancy, the team that's going to win. This is finally poised, and there's been talking points in terms of the players that have really stood up. I think this could have been a different game if Finlay Burgess perhaps started the game, but certainly in the second half, I think the big players for the Stirling Wolves have certainly come to the fore, and perhaps the Boroughmuir Bears slightly have wilted under pressure, and again up front, the Wolves really taking them to task.
And then Burgess. He's also done well since coming on the park, relishing playing with Duncan Weir. There's a grubber from Weir. One of the Boroughmuir players just out the picture on the deck. It's back to his feet there. And Burgess again, springing his step, wanting to see this out now as Stirling have a 5-point advantage in the closing stages of the contest. Tries then from Marcus Holden, from Ryan Southern, and from Angus Fraser. And Fraser's had an excellent evening in that front row for Stirling County alongside Adam Wood and initially Callum Norrie, now Murphy Walker. And there is Fraser in the picture.
12 off as well.
It's not just an open play as well, it's his been his accuracy in the line out. I think when they've got in really important positions, he's especially in the second half, he's allowed the team to build pressure and build momentum in the game. And I think Angus Fraser is certainly, he was the one to get the first try as well. You know, he's really been able to build the pressure, and he's well deserved, I think, the FOSROC Super 6 player of the match.
Yes, well deserved for the Stirling hooker. Long throw again towards the back of the line, trying to work it round the corner. Burgess once more. You can see Brandon Sweet on for Callum McFeet-Smith.
Tackle!
On towards Holden. Stirling Wolves, of course, 1 try shy of a try bonus point. Scott Robertson has been replaced as well in the last couple of minutes in this game by Adam Scott. Stirling getting closer towards the line. Burgess once again goes in, just bypasses Hiddleston. Work it out towards the right hand side. Weir, Jarvie running into contact there. Didn't have an awful lot of room to work his way around the corner and go in for the try. Burgess recycling ball and appearing at the back of every drive to continue the forward momentum. There is Gregor Hiddleston, and he's over for the score. And Stirling Wolves have a bonus point try. They found form in the second half, and they've certainly found some form in the last 25, 27 minutes or so. Something that deserted them for much of the season was an end product, and the side that were at the foot of the table this evening without a point to their name coming into the contest have certainly been more than a match during this 80 minutes for a Boroughmuir Bears side who've been one of the most improved sides in the last 6 months.
Yeah, and I think they've fronted up to them. I think, you know, in the second half especially, they've just pumped their chests out and tried to make it, you know, a war of attrition, and they've won that war. I feel like up front they've taken them to task in the scrum in the second half, especially with the introduction of Murphy Walker, and I think Hiddleston as well is probably a player that's put his hand up to potentially be man of the match as well, because he's had a good game in the loose. He's carried hard, he's carried well, he gets a score as well to round off his day, and it's, you know, I did say it was going to be tight, but you know, I think the Stirling Wolves second half has been remarkable.
Yeah, a few people believed that something was perhaps in the air after a better display all round, and that man there, Duncan Weir, has certainly played his part as well with 4 conversions, talking a lot of players through certain phases of the game, but his importance, his involvement has been, I think, much appreciated by everyone involved, and Ben Cairns will be a much happier man this evening as Duncan Weir takes the applause from those having come down from Stirling to watch him this evening, heads towards the front of the stand, and we'll watch the final few seconds of this contest play out as Stirling County now have the try bonus. First win away from home as well. Perhaps that little bit more sweeter, and Graham Shield will be a disappointed figure, I'm sure, watching on, having seen his side take a 10-0 lead into the break, extend it early in the second half to 13-0, and then find the full force of Ben Cairns' Stirling Wolves side. Boroughmuir then looking to try and finish with a bit of a flourish themselves. Adam Scott recently on the field of play. Liam Brim's on for Duncan Weir. Confirmation of that. Ball goes loose there, just in front of the feet of Jack Fisher. Referee blast there, and a chance for Boroughmuir, looking to try and get at least salvage something from this evening's contest. Bergen will pin this one down towards the corner. A lot of changes just in the final few minutes as well, Dale, to give players a run out. Yeah,
I think both teams know the game's settled. You know, the game's done now, and they can bring the players onto the field. But I think this is, you know, something that we've not really craned our necks towards the left for a long period of time. You know, this is the first real opportunity for Boroughmuir to launch an attack. The last 20 minutes, Stirling Wolves have controlled this game through Burgess and Weir and holding as well. They've managed to dictate where they're going to be playing, and they've really frustrated Boroughmuir. You know, and especially, I mentioned about the player of the match as well, Angus Fraser. There's 79 minutes that the hookers played and still been able to go to the death. Obviously just replaced there, but Boroughmuir with a final flurry here.
Chris, they had a productive first half. Burgess has played well in this second period, no question about that.
Sounds like green.
And that will encourage Ben Cairns, as it's once more Boroughmuir. First time in open play in the second half. They've had first time in a while, they've had a run towards the line. Tom Brown, fullback, into the 22. They haven't really threatened in the way they did in the first half, this Stirling Wolves defence in open play. Pick and go on a little dash away towards the line. Boroughmuir could be well in for a score. Tackle. They need some reinforcements. Murray Johnston did well to escape the attentions. He was so close to crashing over the line there. Boroughmuir looking to recycle once more. A losing bonus point, perhaps up for grabs if they can get the try on the board.
7 hands behind.
Pick and go once more. Vita stays upright as well, tries to provide some defensive cover. Stirling defending for their lives. They know the win is secure. You can see how close it is. These Boroughmuir players launching themselves towards the line. Grappling for the ball there is Murray Johnston. Guddling, almost like a vet trying to deliver a calf. When it comes to Johnston, out towards the left-hand side, another little gap opens up in the Stirling defence. Nothing doing on this occasion though for Boroughmuir. They will go again. Solid challenge coming in there from Gregor Hiddleston. Dale mentioned his contribution qualities. Bergen wrapped in the challenge from Benedict Grant. Grant himself has had an excellent game. Murray Johnston again has a little look.
Tackle!
Forwards trying to lower from their height to take the ball into that contact situation.
Last chance, 7.
Recycled again as Boroughmuir are forced sideways at the moment. Will there be one more determined pick and go? The period of advantage played by the referee after a Stirling offside decision was picked up by our match official Finlay Campbell. Inside the final 5 metres there. Animation in front of us, front of the main stand. The clutch of Stirling backroom staff waiting to celebrate a victory at Meggetland this evening. They've stolen possession of the ball. It's back in the hands of Rodri Tanner. They'll just want to exit this one. It's launched out the park by the skipper, Marcus Holden, one of the try scorers. A broad smile on his face. It's taken them some time, but they've found victory at last. And Boroughmuir Bears, who've had an excellent season so far, will feel this is a sore one to take this evening at Meggetland, because they wanted another victory. They wanted to remain onwards and upwards, but 4 second half tries from Stirling Wolves. Fraser, Southern, Holden all scoring. Hiddleston too with the final one for that try bonus point after Joe Jenkins had scored in the first half for a Boroughmuir side that were 10-0 up at half time, 13-0 up in the early stages of the second half. But there is the scoreline. 4 tries and a try bonus for Stirling Wolves. They are winners this evening. We'll get reaction in a couple of minutes' time. But it's congratulations to Stirling Wolves. Boroughmuir Bears 16, Stirling Wolves 28.
Welcome back. The players you can see in front of you are Marcus Holden, the captain of Stirling, and the FOSROC Super6 Player of the Match, Angus Fraser. Congratulations to you, Angus. Great performance from the team.
Yeah, it was great performance from the boys. I think we dug deep. Took us a while to get into the game, but we played the full game and we worked for each other, and it was great.
It must be great for you as well, Marcus, because let's face it, it's one half of rugby. That's what you should do now. Just play 40 minutes and you'll be fine. But you were 10-0 down at half time.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we needed. We had great impact off the bench, and we knew if we stayed in the game, we were in for a fight. A few weeks previously, we've not been in there, but a great performance from the boys and just a great effort all round from the whole squad.
Now, Angus, the first half there was a couple of moments of lack of accuracy, but you seemed to tighten that area up in the second half. What was Ben Cairns saying to you in the dressing room at half time?
I think it was just keep cool when we know that we play and we can break them if we play more phases. So I think we just need to keep our heads, and it was all our own mistakes in the first half. So
yeah.
We just need to keep the discipline and keep going.
Now, Marcus, I saw you going over for a try towards the end of the game, but before that, Angus got you sort of battered over from, what was that, 45 yards at least, wasn't it? What? Look at that. That's what you like, isn't it?
That's what we'll tell the family.
I heard Dougie Vipond screaming for it at the back, but I wasn't giving it.
No way. But I guess, what was it like having a guy like Dougie Vipond in the team? I mean, he's got multiple Scotland caps. He's coming back. He's been injured. He's just getting back into the game. Played tonight. Pulled the string for you guys, especially in that second half.
I think it's just that extra sort of experience, and he was in control. He was just saying the right things at the right time, and just keeping cool heads. We've got a lot of young, hungry guys, and in the first half we were a bit over-eager, and then we controlled it down, we calmed, and I thought we really controlled that second half, and the scoreline sort of shows that for us as well.
And Angus in particular, I think you started to get parity and really take control in the scrums in the second half as well, which gave you fantastic platform. In fact, the lineouts as well, you're throwing it.
Set piece in general was real good. Scrums, second half we turned it on, and we knew if we kept the ball in there we'd get a reward from it, so yeah, stuck with that, and it worked for us.
And the bonus point as well. I mean, it's your first win, but it's a bonus point as well. Makes it all the sweeter.
Definitely does, and I think we deserved it in the sense of that, and we owed it to Ben, our coach, leaving. He's put everything into us, and we couldn't do it last week in his last home game, but at least his last time here with us, we gave him that win.
Okay, well listen, guys, congratulations, Marcus, well done. Great performance from you as captain, but Angus Fraser, you are the FOSROC Super6 Player of the Match.
Let me go there first, mate.
Get that medal on, get a big smile to the camera. Look at that. Now, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back to talk to Ben Cairns and talk about all these marvellous tries that both these boys scored after the short break. Welcome back to Megatland. A huge second half performance from Stirling by scoring 28 points. 4 converted tries means they've won this match by 28 points to 16. Ben Cairns is a happy man, a win at last, and a bonus point to boot.
Yeah, finally there. I thought it was a quality performance, especially second half from us.
It was indeed. You made some changes as well. I think you could have been in the front row of the scrum, and you got a new scrum half coming on as well. Really you played a much faster and more accurate second half performance.
Yeah, we talked about respecting the ball at half time. We didn't need to force things, and we felt we forced them a little bit too much in the first half. I think bringing Murphy Walker on at half time at tight head allowed us to really go to our set piece dominance at scrum and maul, and that gave us the platform to go and show some real quality attacking rugby.
I said to Marcus Holden that just before the break there that if you just play 40 minutes of rugby, that's great, because it was a really dominant 40 minutes of rugby, and that accuracy was just so fantastic.
Yeah, look, I think the accuracy is the difference between the two halves. I thought first half we showed some really good bits. I thought we had some really good defensive sets. I thought we looked dangerous when we had the ball, but we did not keep the ball for long enough spells to put real pressure on the opposition.
Dale, it was impressive, wasn't it? You were saying it before the game. You said that you thought that Stirling had a real chance in this game. Boroughmuir were going well last weekend, but you said that County, I beg your pardon, the Wolves were going to go well in this one.
Yeah, I think obviously there was vast improvement last week in the Watsonians game, and in the first half the errors crept in, but the difference in this game was they were still within touching distance, and then the tide completely turned in the second half. I think when Wolves got themselves into dangerous areas, into the 22, they were accurate with the ball, they got there in numbers, they cleared out quickly, and I think the introduction of Finlay Burgess did bring that tempo to the game. I was really impressed with how quick he got the ball away from the breakdown, which meant that Boroughmuir were really scrambling, because the big guys like Benedict Grant were getting in behind, and it meant that Boroughmuir had to go back and also lateral to try and cover the space, and that was the likes of the dominance at the scrum, the set piece as well for the line out, but the pace with the ball away from the breakdown.
It must make you a very happy man indeed. I spoke to you lots of times during the sprint series because you had lots of wins there. This is the first time we've seen you as a winning coach during the championship. But you've had so many you said 40 players you've dealt with in this short period of time. It's hard to get any sense of consistency at all, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think 48.
48, my goodness.
Through 8 rounds of competition. Yeah, wow. With Murphy and Dunky being the 47th and 48th players coming in this week. So, it's been a challenge. It's been a real challenge to get any kind of continuity and cohesiveness from the group. But what I would say is, even with all those challenges, the group has stayed together.
Yeah.
And they have been fighting for each other. And I think we have seen a turnaround in performances as guys have got themselves fit and back and available. And that's much more like us in that second half tonight.
Absolutely was. And Ayrshire next week as well, so it doesn't get any very easy next weekend. But I guess that gives you confidence to go on, because you're not going to win, you're not going to finish in the playoffs, right? You're playing for fun now.
Yeah, that's it. There's no weight on our shoulders, so we can go out there and express ourselves. It starts with the hard yards, of course it does. Like, we have to be up for it. We have to have that emotional energy, and we have the last 2 weeks. Starts with our defensive effort, and we can certainly use the 10 tries we conceded against the Ayrshire Bulls a couple of weeks ago as motivation to go and put a better performance together next week.
Well, listen, congratulations. I'll let you go back to the boys. I know that they're very happy. They were wanting to celebrate tonight. Congratulations, a bonus point win tonight. And yes, Ben, thank you very much indeed for joining us tonight. Let's have a look while he goes out. Let's have a look at some of the tries that we and let's Dale. And this was early on. This was Jenkins getting this try in the first half.
Yeah, it was the line there from Robeson when he cuts back in field. He manages to check the defence, and Bergen had a great first half. He spills that ball out to Jenkins on the wing, and he's got oodles of space out in the tram lines because of that run there from the inside centre Robeson. And from there you thought that Boroughmuir were going to control the game, and in the first 40 minutes they certainly did, through the boot of Bergen, which I thought, in the first 40 minutes he was definitely the player of the match. But in the second half they kind of wilted slightly.
This is the 56th minute. This is the first score for Stirling, and it was Angus Fraser who was the player of the match. And it could have been any one of 3 or 4 players, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could have been the other 4 that are to the left-hand side of him. He said Dunky Weir was screaming on it, and no wonder. But it's the run from him again. You can see the hard work just off the camera. He's running round the corner, which makes it really difficult for the defence to come round. And you can see how many numbers are coming round for Boroughmuir, but they just don't get in a position. They're scrambling on their own goal line.
And this was Ryan Southern going over in the 60th minute, of course, for Boroughmuir, keeping. No, I beg your pardon. This is so it's like Ryan Southern getting the next try. So pretty exciting stuff. The game was starting to flow then.
Yeah, there's the 2 things that we said at half time as well. Benedict Grant carrying in the right areas, and Fafita as well, because before that Grant got in behind, and Fafita just checks his man there. When the defender goes in and makes that tackle, it means that Kerr Johnson has to hold, which gives the space out wide to go in for the score.
I mean, it was such a dominant second half performance, and you know, having your set piece right. You know, Angus Fraser was, you know, when the line out was great. They're solid at the scrum as well, but that kind of consistency, that kind of accuracy, that must keep Ben Cairns pretty happy, because I know he's not been happy this season.
Yeah, 48 players is astronomical in Super 6, but again, this try comes off of a penalty advantage. They'd hit their target at the line out. You know, the discipline was really good in the second half. They get into good areas and they benefit off a free ball, and that's exactly where that try has come from for the Stirling Wolves.
And this is Gregor Hiddleston going over in the 78th minute and just putting the tin lid on it as far as Stirling were concerned, because this was the bonus point. And I have to say as well, because Duncan Weir, we talked very much about Jack Bergen in the first half, but Duncan Weir off the tee and off actually out of the hand was fantastic with his kicks, was he not?
Yeah, you know, there was 3 very challenging kicks in there, so you take that 6 points off of that scoreline, and it's a tighter game. Yeah, it's a tighter game. But, you know, the thing is that Ben Cairns said there that it was the basics that they done well. Respecting the ball, I think, is exactly what Stirling Wolves did in the second half. They carried really hard but accurate. They were direct. They got in behind as well, but they got the numbers there. And I think the pace that they were getting the ball away from the breakdown, Boroughmuir defensively just couldn't really live with them. And that was the beauty of Stirling Wolves. They've said that, you know, they've been playing really good rugby but not been able to get the end product, and that was the end product there in the second half. You know, the accuracy, getting the ball away and getting the tries. A try bonus. I wouldn't have thought they would have got the try. I knew it was going to be tight, but I never thought it was going to be as comfortable in the end.
Quite interesting as well. I think Ben Cairns was saying there, you know, we're not winning it, we're not getting to the playoffs, but anyone who's got to play Stirling now will be worried, because Stirling throwing the ball about like that and being accurate like that are a team to be. You've got to worry about that.
A 12-point win away from home at Megatland in the Super 6. They run Waxonians close. You know, I don't think they've got anything to fear to go to the Bulls. I think they do have a game that can challenge them. You know, they're certainly looking at the Knights. Nobody wants to be the bottom team at the end of this championship. They'll be looking at the Knights now and looking to try and claw up, get past them in the table, you know, and get a bit of confidence towards the culmination of this campaign. But certainly when they're accurate like that, when you've got players likes of Holden, Hiddleston in the back row was brilliant as well. Yeah, when their set piece is on fire, you know, they give teams challenges. Because in that last 40 minutes, they spent most of it in the Boroughmuir half. Yeah. It was a rare occasion to look towards the left to see Boroughmuir playing in the Stirling Wolves half, and it was game management. It's playing rugby in the right areas.
Certainly is. Let's have a look at the table, and shall we? Stirling, of course, way at the bottom. They hadn't scored a point before this evening, but they got 5 points this evening after playing 8. Of course, it's a hugely important win for Ben Cairns, because you know, he's been walking around with a cloud above his head for so many weeks now, and that was a Stuart performance for the guys this evening. Came here to Boroughmuir, and Boroughmuir will be absolutely fizzing, because there was an opportunity to go up into third and secure that third place, but they failed to do that this evening. But there's lots more rugby happening this weekend, and let's have a look at that now. Coming up tomorrow on the round 8 of the FOSROC Super 6, we have seen Boroughmuir Bears against Stirling Wolves, the bonus point win for the Wolves. Heriots are on tomorrow against Ayrshire Bulls at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's Watsonians against the Southern Knights at 5 p.m. And you can watch both of those matches on the Scottish Rugby website. Well, my goodness, it's a hugely exciting night for Stirling, but frustration, massive amounts of frustration for Boroughmuir. We'll be back with more live rugby next weekend, of course, as well as the championship continues. From all of us here at Megaland, thank you so much for your company. Bye for now.